What up? What up? What is good, y'all? We got some people in the building already. Hammer's late. He said I'll be like 15 minutes late. Fucker is not on time. Derek, what up? PB Dubs, what is goody? I love that. I love the hammers. Kevin, every Sunday, Stevie and Hammer time. Yes, sir. Appreciate y'all. Falcons versus Bears, NFC Championship game. Okay. Okay. I think that Vikings should be there, but I don't know. Can Ritter do it? Can Bijan do it? Can London do it? Can Pitts do it? Can they all do it? Can the Bears? I mean, same thing. Can Fields actually throw the damn football? We've seen him be able to run. I know he hasn't had weapons, but can he actually take that next step? Can he take that Jalen Hurts-ish type step? I don't know. You guys let me know. Do you think he's taking that next step now with DJ Moore? I mean, DJ Moore's my dude, but they need to be throwing the ball more than what they have been. So, Jamie, what up? Yeah, Hammer said he's coming. Wife pulled some shit the last minute on him. He'll be on in a few. But yeah, what's going on, y'all? Are y'all all done with your rookie drafts? Y'all still got rookie drafts going on, or or what? I know I'm in a startup currently. We've got yes, I had a 12th pick in this startup. I went Watson and CD Lamb. I just I don't know. Typically I'll go Kyler there also, but I already have that duo in the league and I don't want the same duo, but in the middle of a couple now, finishing up some deep startups. Yeah. Yeah, I'm in one startup currently, probably another one in the next week or two. But I mean, Addison, Quentin Johnston, like these guys jumped up the boards. Like, yeah, I mean, tonight we're going to talk about the AFC East. We'll talk about some Bills. We're going to talk about some Jets. We're going to talk about some Patriots and some Dolphins, of course, right? I mean, a lot going on. There's a lot of like fantasy relevance in that division. I mean, I guess not so much for New England, but Mac Jones. I mean, are they going to be rolling with Mac Jones even if he does bad? Do you still roll with Mac? Just took Deuce Vaughn in the 18.2. I got Tony Pollard at the 5.11. Okay, okay, I don't mind that. I mean, I don't know like how good Deuce Vaughn is going to be, or what kind of production they're gonna give him. I wouldn't be surprised if they re-sign Zeke at a certain point in time. I know he's been tied to the Bucks as well, but like Deuce is just so small, it's hard to see him have like a prominent role. Like, can he get more than like 8 touches a game? Like, is that like a thing? Can that happen? Can he get 8 touches? I don't know if he can even get 8 touches a game. So now if Tony Pollard goes down, then maybe he gets some more touches. But yeah, I don't have Deuce Vaughn in any leagues. I'm okay with just taking somebody else. But if the injury happens, then I mean, Tony Pollard is coming back from an injury, so I'd be surprised if they don't bring in a veteran. I'd be surprised if they go just straight with Tony Pollard and Deuce Vaughn, like, and Malik Davis. I don't know. Unless they really believe in Malik Davis that much that they're gonna give him a nice role. I don't know. What do you think, Derek? You think they bring somebody in to your boys, or what? Or you think they're just straight up rolling with what they got right now? Pollard, right? It's Pollard, Davis, and Vaughn, right? We've got. I mean, there's not much news really that happened except for Javante Williams, right? Apparently, they expect him ready. I mean, I don't know. I mean, he tore, a bunch of shit. I mean, unless he's, Adrian Peterson, just a bionic human being, I don't know how he could possibly be ready for the start. And on top of that, we don't want him to come back like a fucking J.K. Dobbins, where he's got to get surgery again, where he's limping down the field. I don't want that. They got Rojo. I don't really even count Rojo. They got Rojo. I mean, he couldn't even make the Chiefs team last year. Like, Zeke still might get signed there. Yeah, I mean, I can see that. I mean, why not, right? Why not have, that same kind of role that he had last year? Where you're still kind of leaning on Pollard, but you're just giving Zeke some of the brunt work. So I like that because obviously Pollard can still be efficient. You don't have to give him, the whole workload. I don't see any other team giving Zeke the money he wants. He could just end up staying with the Cowboys. Yeah, I mean, other than the Cowboys, I mean, who else is out there? I mean, does he go to the Bills? I don't think so. Um, does he go to? I mean, where else can he possibly even go? Eagles got their dudes. Uh, I don't. Is there another spot? I mean, I'm trying to look through the teams here. Like, other than Tampa Bay and the Cowboys, is there another spot that a team could actually like use him? Kansas City, maybe. Denver, if Javante's not ready. So, you think they are going to use Deuce Vaughn? Okay, okay, okay. My Vikings, yeah. I mean, I don't know. I mean, if we wanted to pay somebody a decent amount, we might as well have just kept Dalvin Cook. I guess. I don't know. Maybe. I guess that's a possibility. I guess that's a possibility, but I don't want it. Let Madison and McBride and Ty Chandler, do that thing. Let's just throw the ball more. I mean, Madison could still run it, so he could still do his thing. Let him do his thing. I mean, why waste the money? We don't need to waste the money on offense. That's the problem. We need defense. We don't need, offense as much. We need more defense. Marty was good. We need defense. So, but yeah, I mean, if Javante is ready for the start of the season, I mean, that's kind of crazy. But with the news, I mean, he started moving up draft boards a little bit. I just don't know how possible that could be. And on top of that, like, that first year back, I mean, is always rough. Nobody is ever really doing that well that first year back. So, having to wait at least a year, and when Javante got hurt, we pretty much everybody figured, okay, 2024, like, we're not gonna really wish for 2023, like, that's gonna be a long shot for him to, come back to like original form. So I just traded away Brandon Cooks for Gibson. That's awesome. You know how I love Gibby. Cooks was just a bench player, so now I got Gibson for running back depth. Yeah, I'll take that all day. You can replace Brandon Cooks, but Gibby is going to be a guy that's going to get the ball. I love me. You know how I love Gibby. Love my guy. Let's see. Any other news that's came out? Dynasty relevant wise, not really. I mean, Foster Moreau getting signed to the Saints. I mean, what does that do to Juwan Johnson, right? I don't know. Is that gonna affect both of them? Is Moreau gonna block? I mean, they gave him a good contract, so that's why I wasn't really up on Juwan Johnson. It was just risky. Gibby's a nice buy right now. Yeah, Gibby's always been a buy. I'm always for buying those cheaper guys that are still going to give you a good floor. They're going to give you solid production every week, and every once in a while they're going to have that big game or get that touchdown thrown in there. So Foster has some chemistry with Carr. Yeah, he does. I mean, that's got to drop down Juwan Johnson now. I mean, so yeah. I mean, good for him. Good for him. Let me see. Are any of y'all in this league in the 22 in Husses in the 22? Song, I don't think Song's in here, but Kidda, no, I don't think any of y'all in the 22. But there is another guy that I like on the Commanders, right? Got drafted in the 6th round, right? Chris Rodriguez. There's nobody else there. I mean, they got Jared Patterson after Gibby and Brian Robinson. And if Brian Robinson probably was, if he was to go down, like Chris Rodriguez would probably take over that role and Gibby would keep that same, 3 down and pass catching role. So I like Chris Rodriguez as well. He's mostly going like undrafted too. So you could just pick him up off of waivers after the draft if nobody takes him or grab him in like the 4th. What round y'all in? We are in the 11th. We are in the 11th. I'll pull it up so y'all can see it quick. And let me know what y'all think because this is the first year I'm actually doing like defense, and I'm trying to. I went this one like a different way, similar to what I did the other Hus league I'm in. But let me know what y'all think, and I'll tell you kind of what I'm thinking and why I'm building the team this way. But yeah, guys, put that like up there. Do me that favor. If you're new here, hit that like, hit that subscribe. Appreciate you, Derek. But yeah, all right. Let's see. This is where we're at right now. So I had the 12th pick here. I had the 12th pick here. Went with Watson and Lamb, and stupidly I passed up on Kyler Murray. I really wanted it. I just have the combination of Watson and Kyler in another league, and I just didn't want the same thing. So I figured, fuck it. I'm just gonna wait on QB. Grab 3 wide receivers, CD, Waddle, and JSN that I could build around. QBs went fucking quick, so I had to take Aaron Rodgers. Took some upside in a young guy in Trey Lance to take over for Rodgers in that few years. Went with TJ Hawkinson because it is tight end premium, even though we don't have to start a tight end. But dude put up like a bunch of points last year. So I'll take it. He had what, 80 catches, I think, almost 900 yards, right? 86 catches for 900 yards, and he only played. He didn't play the whole season in Minnesota either. And then I went out. Then I went after some linebackers here. I figure like I build around my wide receivers here, and Hawkinson build around my linebackers, and then just try and grab everybody else. But tell me what y'all think. Just heard Cecil Lamey from the Audible was talking that Troutman could be the guy in Denver. That's what I was using, right? At least 90% of the time. What do you think? Yeah, I mean, he could be. If they went out and got him, obviously Sean Payton likes him. So yeah, they got him obviously for a reason. Is he gonna be, the actual guy? Like, I don't know. Like, they're probably gonna mix both of them in. Like, I don't know if he's gonna be fantasy relevant enough for me to try and go out and get him like now. Like, if he does turn into something, I'll go and pay for him at that point. But I'm not actively trying out to go and get him or anything. But I just don't know. I don't know what's gonna happen. I know that Sean Payton knows what he wants to do, and I'm kind of gonna wait and see. But if you heard that, I mean, that's good news. That means that Sean Payton obviously liked him. So that could be. That could be. You looking at running backs then? Where for now in my draft? Yeah, I'm gonna start grabbing some run. I mean, there's still a decent amount of good running backs that I can grab, but I'm just trying to build up like what I want to build around, and then I'll fill in the rest. Um, so in this league where linebackers, the defense get a massive amount of points. Trying to build around those guys along with the guys on offense that I want to build around. So some of these defensive guys they score so many points. They score, like wide receiver twos and wide receiver threes with some of the production that they have. So instead of some of these offensive guys in this area, I just figured I'd take some of the defensive guys. I mean, and I don't know. I don't know if that's the right way to do it. Like I haven't played in any of Hustler's leagues or in these IDP leagues before where it's so heavy on points on IDP, and we're starting what 9 defensive players, so 10 on offense, 9 on defense. So I don't know. I'm trying this approach. This is what I'm thinking right now. We'll see if this works or not, but we'll see. There's still a bunch of running backs up here. I mean, Connor, Cook, Madison, Charbonnet, Evans, Bigsby, Gibby, rookies are up here. Some backups are up here, right? Rashard Penny, Damian Harris later on, P. Ryan, Wilson, Mostart, like, Roshan. Like, I'm okay with taking all these dudes. Like, we still got time till the season starts. Guys will be, I'm hoping, some of my guys gain value and you can trade them or keep them, but I'm just trying to get my building blocks right now that I know for the next. I mean, I got relatively young linebackers, right? Greenlaw, I mean, Okereke, Franklin, Jordan Brooks. So I figured I've got some linebackers I could build around. Got my wide receivers, got my QB. So I'm in like win now, but maybe I get some vet running back so I can start scoring points. I mean, we'll see. We shall see. Yeah, this one is it's tough because I mean, look, let me see if we can pull it. Because look at the defense. You got to start 2 defensive linemen. You got to start 2 linebackers. You got to start 2 defensive backs, and then you got to start 3 like IDP flexes. You can put whatever you want there: D line, DB, or linebacker. So 2, 4, 6. Yeah, so it's 9 defensive starters, which just it's just different, way different for me than anything I've played before. So I'm new at it. So I'm new at it. But yeah, I mean, what would you approach this differently? I mean, these linebackers, they get just massive amount of points, like, and I don't know why it's different when you're looking at it on here than it is when you're looking at it on the phone, because on the phone it actually tells you like how many points they put up last year in the scoring system, but in this one, I don't know why it doesn't here. Like Zaire Franklin last year put up 340 points. And you look at a guy like DJ Moore, put up 293 points last year. He finished, wide receiver 24. So you're talking about a linebacker that's scoring like wide receiver 2 numbers. I don't know. So that's why I'm going that route. That's why I'm going that route. All right, Hammer should be on in a minute, but yeah, we're talking about the AFC East. We're just going to talk about some of these teams. We're going to talk about the division. We're going to talk about some of the guys for Dynasty as well. So the James Cooks, Damian Harris. Speaking of Damian Harris, I guess I'll start with him. I do like Damian Harris this year. He's cheap. He's very cheap. Under the radar. He's one of those guys that can give you solid production out of the backfield, and he's on a great offense. So, does he get some goal line work? Does he get the first and second down work? You got James Cook obviously still there. You've got Latavius Murray, who signed there as well. So, does Damian Harris and Latavius Murray split work there? Kind of like what we saw last year, maybe from like Miami, where you had Jeff Wilson and Mostert. They both had less than 200 carries, but both productive some weeks. So I like Damian Harris, especially for how cheap he is. I don't know how much Latavius Murray is going to cut. Latavius Murray is going to cut into the workload. I mean, he is an older guy, but he's fucking chugging along. Even at his age, I think he'll be 32 this year, if I'm not mistaken. So James Cook, on the other hand, another good guy to get late in your drafts. I mean, especially PPR, where we saw last year when they did use him, like he did look good. I mean, if they can throw him the football and give him 8 to 10 carry, if he can get like 8 to 10 carries, or maybe even more than, maybe get 10 to 12 carries, but realistically, okay, 8 to 10 carries a game, he gets 5 to 6 targets a game. I mean, that's good, decent running back production. I'll take that, especially on that kind of offense. Like those are high quality, targets. So I like it for James Cook right now. Now again, running backs these are year to year. So in Dynasty, we're only looking at it, for this year, because next year they could draft somebody and like James Cook is done, Harris is done, Murray's done. I mean, so we're always looking at these guys and kind of like these 1 to 2 year windows. Stephon Diggs, the only guy on offense really that they have. I mean, Gabe Davis is just not who everybody thought he was. Khalil Shakir, a little bit underrated going into this season, because he is going to be the number 3 guy. He is going to be the slot guy. And Josh Allen does love, to throw to the slot guy. Now, you got Kincaid coming in as well, who's probably going to play in the slot. So, does Kincaid play like right off of the line, and then Shakir is actually in the slot? Like, I don't know how they're going to do it. Or maybe it's just going to be Kincaid in the slot. Shakir's not even going to be on the field. You're going to have Gabe Davis and Diggs out there with just Kincaid in the slot. I mean, I don't know how much they're going to use Kincaid. I think they're going to use him a lot, considering the draft capital, that they spend, and that's what we're hoping for. But we shall see. But I mean, Khalil Shakir costs literally absolutely nothing. Probably should be on your taxi squad anyway. So going into that second year, I mean, you can keep him there, for now. But that give him about what Pollard got last year, but Cook won't be as efficient. Yeah, I don't think he would. He's not. I mean, he's shown that he's not. Like that's the thing. So I mean, he's still a decent guy to have. Even if I don't get the Pollard production, I mean, that's like I'm okay, especially where you got to take him. So there he is. There's the hammer.
Better late than never, but never late is better. What up? What up?
Shit. What up, man? What up? You were missing in action. We had some nice beginnings. Look, I'll show you real quick. Let me scroll all the way back up.
I'm scrolling now to see.
We got some hammers. That popped in. Derek, shout out. PB Dubs.
I love that. You know what? I love that emoji.
Look at Kevin, Stevie and
Hammer
Hammer
time.
time. So
This is quickly becoming. You guys are just fantastic. I love the hammer emoji, the hammer time. It's a beautiful thing to see. I appreciate you guys. Had a little husbandly duty to attend to, but I'm in the building.
yeah, we got Jamie up in here, Marty, Kevin, everybody's up in here.
Jamie, Marty, Kevin, Derek. What's happening, boys? How we doing?
Kincaid reminds me of Joe Jaravicius, a bit of a big slot. Yeah.
That's
I mean,
interesting.
if they use him that way, I mean, they should, but we'll see. We'll see what happens. It's we know tight ends typically don't really produce their first season, and I think we're putting definitely a lot on him, and I think like it's possible that he could come through and do the shit. I mean, he's on a awesome offense. Stephon Diggs is the only guy that they've got there. We were just talking about the Bills. Um, they don't have anybody else. Like Gabe Davis is not it. Like so. Yeah, I mean, if they use him right and they put him in that slot and give him the playing time and try and rely on him, we'll see. We'll see what happens.
I feel like they've been looking for that secondary option really ever since Stephon Diggs got there. We thought it was going to be Gabe Davis. Remember that playoff run 2 years ago where he had he was just going nuts? And everybody that was everybody's last memory going into this past season. So everybody kind of figured, hey, but I think that was more product of playoff teams just making sure Stephon Diggs wouldn't beat you. So Gabe Davis was the beneficiary of just ridiculous production, particularly in that Kansas City game.
Yeah, I mean, we were off Gabe Davis. I wasn't messing with Gabe Davis.
Nah. I think people wanted to see the best out of him because he played in such a good offense with Josh Allen opposite Stephon Diggs that I think he was way overhyped. He's just way too boom or bust. You're probably going to get 2 or 3 good weeks, if that, and you don't know when it's going to be. You're going to be wrong more often than you're right. So, yeah, I think Kincaid will be really good. I have him rated pretty high on my draft board for a tight end anyway. And I'm going to try and target him in our home rookie draft. I see we got some of the subscriber league guys getting popping in, so that's fucking awesome.
Yeah, I'm only handpicking everybody. Guys, if you are interested in being in the subscriber league, it is $100 a year. It's $200 up front. Going through League Safe. This way, everything is there. And we're Gucci. But yeah, if you guys are interested in the subscriber league, it's just going to be offense, start 10, no defense, or kickers or anything like that. Super flex. So if you're interested, let us know. I'll send you the link because I'm only, I'm sending out to, individual people. Like I'm just handpicking everybody to throw in there. So
I like it. I like it a lot.
But yeah, like you said, I mean, Gabe Davis, we saw that game and it was just, oh, Gabe Davis. And I'm like, bro, where the fuck was that all of last year? Like that only happened in, that game. And that's great. But, he's just not that good. And then we saw that this year. But, especially after that first game where people were, ecstatic, like, oh, Gabe Davis. And then it was just,
I'm going to pull up Gabe Davis's game log from last year.
From there.
Just to see.
Well, yeah, he's an awesome best ball, 80% Kincaid in best ball. Yeah, man.
All right, so history, game log. Here we go. Game log from 2022.
After the 4 TV game in the playoffs, I was sold and hoodwinked Gabe Davis.
It can happen, bro. It can happen, Derek. And you know what was funny, too, was I was a little hoodwinked as well, where I thought he would be like a really solid wide receiver, too. Obviously, not even close to wide receiver 1, but I thought he could give us solid wide receiver 2 production consistently, right? Because that's what you're talking about. His consistency was just non-existent. So he finished wide receiver 36, half PPR. And the game log, let's see. Yeah, so he had that pretty good week 1 where he had the touchdown, 88 yards. But outside of that, he finished in the top 10 of wide receiver rankings for the week 3 times. 3 top 10. Actually, no, I'm lying. 2 top 10 finishes, 3 top 15 finishes weekly. Other than that, he was like wide receiver 66, wide receiver 87, wide receiver 61, 45, 64, 45. So you kind of get the picture. So I think they really wanted to bring in somebody, especially at that tight end position, that could be a difference maker. And I think he definitely can be a difference maker.
Yeah, I mean, he turned out to be a wide receiver 3, wide receiver 4.
4, yeah.
And it's a perfect example of why we put the talent over a situation, because this guy had a situation and he's not breaking out, he's not busting out.
Now, what do you think that's because he doesn't get good separation? Do you think that's because he's not a good wide receiver? Do you think that's a product of the offense they were running? Like, what do you surmise the reason for his lack of true consistency was?
Yeah, no, he's just not a good wide receiver. He's not good, getting off the line. He's not good in man coverage. He's not good in zone coverage. I mean, he can run the 9 route, but that's about it. He's just not a great route runner. He doesn't get the separation. He's not that smart. Like, you don't see him making any, these sideline or acrobatic catches.
It's just deep ball, kind of one trick pony. Yeah,
he just kind of is what he is. And that's why I didn't really like him going into last year. So, and he didn't show anything the year before that either. So it was, he got beat out by, what was it?
Cole Beasley, Emmanuel Sanders.
And Cole Beasley and a 35-year-old Emmanuel Sanders or whatever it was. I mean,
basically, yeah.
So yeah, I've been off him, since then, really. And I was willing to.
All right, I have one quick thing before we carry on. Did you happen to see my new avatar on Sleeper?
No.
I changed it. The future has arrived.
The fuck did you change it to?
Take a look.
I can't. Hold on.
On your phone.
I can't. I'm on Instagram.
Oh, IG? All right, when you get a chance, take a look at it. The future has arrived. His name is Jordan Love.
On Sleeper? What? I don't see anything. I see Tiger King.
No,
in the league?
Yeah, in the subscriber league, yeah.
Oh, you got a picture of Jordan Love in the Packers? Oh my god.
Yeah, it's Love.
Listen, he's been flying up boards. I mean, yeah, he's going to be going up boards. He has been lately, so he's the guy now. We got the extra year as well, so you're at least comfortable that he's going to be there, for 2 years.
At least 2 years. Yeah.
They're going to at least give him a chance. So,
and you know what's crazy about that is they signed him. They didn't pick up the 5th-year option. They essentially extended him. So that 5th year is only going to cost the Packers between $10 and $12 million. If I read everything, if I remember correctly. But that 5th-year option essentially is way more than that $10 to $12 million. So the Packers really played it smart by signing him to an extension rather than picking up the 5th-year option, basically saving themselves anywhere from $10 to $15 million on the cap with a young team already, because most of their capital is invested in the defense as it is, because they haven't had to pay any of their offensive guys yet. Aaron Jones, really.
Yeah, Derek's like Kincaid going to be what we thought Pitts was. I mean, Pitts is still like what he is. I mean, we can't forget that rookie season he had on that 1,000-yard season, almost breaking the record for rookie tight end in yards. Obviously, last year the offense was bad. Mariota, he just could not throw the ball. Then he got injured, so we just have to be patient with it. And he's not in the situation, the offense that Kincaid is in, where I mean, yeah, if Pitts was in an offense like that, then that'd be fucking crazy. But
if Pitts was on Buffalo, do you think he would get drafted ahead of Kelsey?
Oh yeah.
Oh, he already is. Sort of, but
yeah.
That much more.
Yeah, if he was on a different kind of offense that was featuring him now, we'll see what they do with Kincaid. And and how much he's going to be used. Can he be what we thought Pitts was? I mean, yeah, he can be. He can be if they feature him. Now he's not like the athlete that like Pitts is. I mean, Pitts is. Uh, I
That
don't know.
dude.
Pitts is a dude. He's a dog. But just the athletic specimen that he is. But yeah, Kincaid is good. He's awesome. He's a receiving tight end, so he can be fantasy wise. Yeah, absolutely. But is that going to happen? I mean, I don't know. We shall be Musgrave. Yeah, I mean, I like Musgrave too. We'll see what the Packers are going to do. Really, right? I mean, they're going to use two tight ends. I mean, which one is going to be blocking? Are they going to be just both be sharing the receiving work? Like, what do you think, Hammer?
It's gonna. So obviously they drafted two receivers. I need to see what the offense looks like first. If they're really gonna try and run the ball and play, control football, or are they gonna unleash Jordan Love? It's. I think Musgrave is definitely worth a pickup in your later drafts. Like if he's there in the back end of the third round or somewhere in the third or fourth round, he's worth a pickup and stash on your taxi spot because he can be an integral part of an offense that features a ton of young kind of core guys. You're talking about Christian Watson, Romeo Dubes, Jalen Reed that they just picked up with Aaron Jones and AJ Dillon. If he develops a rapport with Jordan Love early, he could be that go-to safety valve guy. So, it'll be interesting because it seems like they have a plethora of young kind of upside guys. So it'll be interesting to see. Now, I do think the pecking order where Musgrave fits into that pecking order will probably be third or fourth at best in any given game. So that kind of limits his upside considering you have all the guys I just mentioned. So I think he's definitely worth a pickup and stash him on your taxi slot if you have spots. And if he develops into, something where he's getting, at least four targets a game, 5 maybe, then he may become playable in a very shallow position.
Yeah. I feel you. I don't know. I'm just staying away. I mean, in tight end premium, yeah, you're gonna have to, take a chance on it. But you think the Ravens will remain a primary run type offense, or do you think they will air it out more? No, I think they're definitely going to air it out more. I've been kind of saying that now, and then they have the new offensive coordinator coming in. They've just paid Lamar Jackson, so you would think they want to, especially after the last 2 seasons,
Protect him a little bit, yeah.
where he's only played 12 games in each season. They might want to protect him a little bit more. They got the receivers now where they can try at least and throw the ball more. So now you've got some capable wide receivers. You're not running, Croce out there, or who else was
Oh, my boy Denard Robinson.
Denard Robinson. Like, you've got some guys that can actually play now.
Yeah.
So I'm excited, for that offense. I wouldn't be surprised if Lamar's in the running for MVP this year if they,
everything
change
clicks
a little bit and everything clicks, of course. Because again, he's still got the rushing ability, but take away the design rushes and just make it if shit breaks down, then rush. Right? We don't have to actually run this dude into the ground. And take that chance, so.
Do you think Lamar is capable of taking that next step where he has to kind of ignore his initial instinct to run the football, to just take off and run because he's had to do that for so long? Or do you think that he'll be able to, make that second, third, fourth read if he needs to go through his fourth progression? Do you think he has that in the toolbox?
Well, I think now he's got wide receivers that can actually get separation and get open. Like Bateman,
Okay.
Bateman and Zay Flowers are very good route runners and get separation. So you got OBJ in there too. Obviously, he's a little bit older, but you've got guys now that can actually get open. So instead of just, if the first read ain't there, let me tuck it and run. Let me try and look for the second read, the third read. Now, obviously, he's got to, progress at that and be good at passing the football.
That was my main question.
Obviously he's got to improve in places, but we've saw that he can throw the football a little
In
bit
that MVP season, yeah.
when he's in the pocket and he's got some time where he's got some guys that get open. So I think we could see it.
And don't forget, he's still got two really good, capable tight ends. Obviously, Mark Andrews is amazing, and Isaiah Likely is not a slouch.
No, he's not.
So you really looking at a full complement considering what they added to the wide receiver core. And like you said, with Bateman coming back, now do you trust Bateman, OBJ, Mark Andrews to stay healthy? That's a big question, but they got enough. They
Yeah,
got enough pieces for sure.
yeah. Jamie's at the 212. Would you take Mims, Reed, Bigsby? I have ETN, Chubb, Brees, Swift, but at wide receiver, pretty much just AJ Brown, Higgins, and Pickens. Um, I mean, Bigsby's interesting because you got ETN, so that would be kind of ideal. I do like Mims and I do like Reed. Uh, I like Reed better than Mims. So, I mean, typically you don't want to draft for, need. You want to draft for the talent. I really do like Jaden Reed's talent, but I like Bigsby's as well. So it's kind of a toss up for me between Bigsby and Reed. I would say, go with what you need more almost in this case. And I mean, Bigsby makes sense because you do have ETN, but then also Reed makes sense because you don't really have much wide receivers. So that's a tough one. What do you think, Hammer?
Yeah, I'm pretty much in the same boat. I mean, when I saw Reed or Bigsby, obviously those two names kind of step forward over Mims. I made the mistake of drafting my handcuffs in my last year's rookie draft, and those were total wastes of picks at the running back position. So, from that standpoint alone, Jamie, I would say go ahead and take Reed just because I think running backs. I think wide receivers, obviously, we talk about this all the time. They have a longer shelf life, but they also, it feels like they have more of a longer leash than running backs. You know what I mean? Like, if a running back isn't good really his first or second year, it's like, all right, on to the next one. But wide receivers tend to get 2, 3, sometimes even 4 years to develop. They have a longer leash, in my opinion. So from that standpoint alone, and he's going to, a team that you think will be at least decent and you like his talent. So I would go with Reed here, but I can understand taking the handcuff and Bigsby. So it's really about what your preference is, but I would take the wide receiver here.
Yeah, and I've said this before also. I'm gonna say Reed because Jaden Reed is actually the wide receiver one on the Green Bay Packers, or at least he's going to be. So yeah,
Yeah, and listen, if he turns out to be the wide receiver one, I'm totally fine with that. And the fact that we have really 2.5 because I need to be sold on Dubes a little bit better. I know what Christian Watson is. I know his upside. So I'm really saying if Watson is your 2 and Reed is your 1 with Dubes as your 3, I think you could do a lot worse than that. And all these young guys get to grow together, so that'll be really fun and exciting. And it's really up to Jordan Love at this point. Is he the guy? And I think he can be. Over 17 games, it'll be interesting to see how he kind of navigates those 17 games. But I think he's been put in a position to succeed, so we'll see. But I would go with Reed.
yeah, I think the upside is just more on Reed's side. So I think I'll go with Reed there because you might be able to even buy Bigsby for cheaper, like for cheap afterwards,
Especially if he's just sitting on somebody's bench, not doing much.
or maybe if you get him, you could get him in the third. I don't know if you have a third or not, but yeah, let's take Jaden Reed here because I have Jaden Reed going in like the mid second, for me, and Bigsby's in that same range as well.
Mm-hmm.
But I'll lean the wide receiver that got the draft capital, um, in Reed and just the Packer situation because he's automatically going to be the slot guy, straight up from day one going in there. So
Mm-hmm.
so yeah, I'll take it. I do love me some Bigsby though, and you do have ETN. So if you did want to go that route, I mean that makes sense as well. But yeah, give me the wide receivers to build around, especially the young guys and a guy that I like. So depending how much you like Jaden Reed, like I said, wide receiver one, Jaden Reed for the Green Bay Packers. But yeah.
That doesn't upset me. Listen, if they find a wide receiver one, that makes me feel better. And then you got Christian Watson.
Right.
Bro, if Christian Watson is facing secondary defenders, he can burn people and make plays. So listen, we just need to stockpile as much talent as we can. Good talent, talent that fits, and I'll be happy. So. Isn't it weird, like after Aaron Rodgers, or really before the Aaron Rodgers trade, everybody was down on the Packers, but now that they went through the draft and you kind of see the collection coming together, I think the arrow is starting to point up. You know what I mean?
The arrow of hope is starting to point up, yeah.
You know what I mean. Don't patronize me. You know exactly what I mean. There's starting to be a better, more positive feeling around the state of the Packers now that Aaron Rodgers is out the door.
Well, yeah, of course, because they know who their quarterback is. They know that, who's on their team. They can start the game plan. They can start to, change up what they need to. Somebody's got to step up and be the leader. I mean, I don't know how much of a leader Aaron Rodgers, was as far as like the locker room and getting guys hyped up. I mean,
I think he led by his play on the field. I don't think he was one of those hold your hand kind of guys.
So I mean, yeah, it's a different dynamic now in the huddle. I mean, as well. Shit. I mean, but yeah, bro. Second round picks and rookie draft this year is kind of sketchy. Yeah, I mean, they suck this year. I hate them, but there is some good talent, right? Josh Downs is a really good football player. Jaden Reed's a really good football player. The running backs are good, just to compete, just for like this year, and maybe next year, they're going to be backup running backs. Some guys might even get into that first role because of injury that happens. We see it all the time, right? People get injured, running backs get injured. And this is where those running backs come into play. Now they're not picks you're looking to build around like your team or expect them to be there for the next 4 or 5 years at the running back position, but
it can be valuable. And also
valuable for this year, yeah.
And also, like you said, I think you brought up a really good point with the Bigsby thing is you can either A, buy him if you didn't pick him up because maybe he's not being utilized, or you can sell him high to a team that has ETN if, that warranted, and you get probably a lot more than what you paid for him. You know what I mean? Or you can use him if ETN is out for any, long period of time. So there is some value there. It's just, you might have to wait on it a little bit. Circumstance might dictate what that value is, but there's definitely value to drafting guys like Bigsby, especially if they're behind a main back or, what we consider kind of a bell cow back in ETN.
Well, no, I mean, I think Bigsby does get a role in this offense. I don't think ETN's getting 20 carries. That's not happening. I think we're just away from that now. I think maybe they do want to use ETN a little bit more in the pass game. Maybe he gets, 15 to 18 carries and another 5 through the air, and then you got Bigsby getting, 10 to 12, 13 touches or something like that. Maybe he gets the brunt work. Maybe he gets the goal line work, right? I mean, I don't know. We'll have to see, but I think he is going to definitely have a role in the offense. I still do like ETN. I mean, I'm not fading him that much because I think that we're just going to start to see a little bit of a change in how they're going to want to use him to keep him fresh and not injured, like we see a lot of these other backs now.
Kenneth Walker, right? They drafted Charbonnet. Perfect example.
So, so I'm not fading ETN much, but I think we're just going to see them change a little bit.
And I think we have to kind of understand the times that we're in. There's room for two productive running backs, right? In any particular backfield. You look at Tony Pollard and Zeke last year, both very productive. Obviously, Tony Pollard was the more efficient, guy and the more explosive guy, but Zeke was still a valuable commodity. I think what did Zeke have? 8, 9 touchdowns last year? Not efficient, but he's still, if you plugged him in your lineup, he was still getting you decent work when he was scoring his touchdowns, which was at a good clip. So, yeah, there's room for 2 running backs. I know it's annoying because it's like, you want those Christian McCaffreys, those Derrick Henrys, but those are getting to be more fewer and far between as we progress.
Yeah, I mean, because they're just RB2s. That's the problem now, is that if you don't have the workhorse RB1, everybody else is like RB2 territory. And just to give you an example, the difference between RB13 and RB20. Wait, hold on. Let me fix this. Hold on. RB13 and RB24 is literally like 2 points per game. Yeah, 2 points per game is the difference between RB13 and RB24.
That's crazy when you put it into context that way.
And then there's a bunch of guys that are like a point less under that, all the way to RB33. Like 25 to 33 is one less point than RB24. So
Mm-hmm.
it, from 13 to fucking 30 is just and it could be anybody. Like, whoever's going to get the opportunity. So these guys that are in those secondary roles, these are these guys that are gonna probably finish in that area.
It's crazy.
So instead of spending up trying to get some of these other guys, like, you can wait and get some of these RB2s. Roll with those bad boys, because I mean, shit, Latavius Murray last year averaged 11.7 points a game. You know how much ETN averaged?
Your boy,
12.3.
your boy Latavius.
Not even a point more Travis Etienne averaged last year
That
than
is Latavius.
Latavius Murray.
Latavius has been your boy for a minute.
Because
But
that boy just rumbles, bro. He just rumbles.
who am I to argue with the production?
He rumbles. All right, what are we talking about? Bills. So yeah, we pretty much talked about everything for the Bills. I mean, Knox is pretty much irrelevant now. He's going to be the guy that'll be blocking pretty much. They'll have Kincaid running out wide. But overall for the Bills, I mean, what do you think about the Bills as far as like the division, as far as the whole AFC? I mean, they keep losing in the playoffs.
I think it almost feels like their window is closing, but I don't think it is necessarily, because people need to understand, when you have a generational talent at quarterback, you're always going to have a chance, right? See Aaron Rodgers, right? How close were they all the time? They won a Super Bowl, so that's what separates them from this version or this kind of era of the Buffalo Bills. But if you have a superhuman quarterback on your team, you're always going to have a chance. Now, are they going to draft well? Is Kincaid going to turn out to be TJ Hawkinson at least? Right? If Kincaid turns out to be TJ Hawkinson, then they're in good position. Then they could go out maybe next year, draft another wide receiver in the second round, maybe try and fortify that secondary a little bit. Make sure that offensive line stays intact to protect Josh Allen, although he kind of feels like he's an offensive lineman sometimes, rumbling out there. But as long as you have a quarterback of his stature and his caliber, I think he's just a victim of circumstance, because he's playing against Mahomes, Burrow, Herbert, so, one of those guys is not, only one of those guys is going to make it to the Super Bowl out of those AFC quarterbacks. So he's just a victim of the circumstance. That's, or Burrow. We've seen Burrow break through and get to the Super Bowl. So, I think he's obviously fantastic. And I think that team is pretty good. It's a tougher division too. Like, Miami is legitimate as long as Tua can stay healthy. The Jets just picked up Aaron Rodgers. So, yeah, I think that division is going to be a lot more competitive than it has been since Buffalo's kind of overtaken New England. But I think they'll be in the mix at the end of the season. They could very easily win that division.
Yeah. I mean, you still got, right? Tua's got to stay healthy. All
right, there's some question marks with those other teams, yeah.
Yeah, we'll talk about all of them real quick. But, I mean, Josh Allen, Superflex, Dynasty, QB, 2 or 3? I mean, I don't know if you could put him much lower than that. I mean, I've seen him go as like QB4. People have put like Burrow and Hurts over.
Well, I I think part of that is a lot of people got turned off by a ton of the turnovers, and I think a lot of people are reading into the whole Brian Daboll departure. He went to obviously to the New York Giants, so they probably connected the dots. The offense changed up a little bit, and he did turn the ball over at an alarming rate last year. He didn't look like his self from the previous 2-3 seasons where we've been accustomed to see him just putting up these ridiculous numbers, and he wasn't really a big turnover guy the last 2 years before this past year. So I think the fact that he, started turning the ball over at a a higher percentage rate, I think alarmed some people, and I think that's why he slid down. And then you see guys like Jalen Hurts, Joe Burrow, they kind of take care of the ball for the most part, and then obviously Patrick Mahomes goes without saying.
Yeah, no, I mean, I agree. The only thing I'll also say is, obviously he doesn't have weapons, right, outside of Diggs. So, our guy's just not getting open where he's now just forcing passes. We've seen him plenty of times like just forcing shit to Diggs where,
Mhm.
double coverage and shit like that. So, you know, uh, does he if he gets better weapons, does that kind of solve that issue where he doesn't have to kind of force shit or and shit like
And
that? So,
and I think another factor, and I mentioned this last year, Diggs is losing a half a step. Like he's not the same guy he was 2 years ago or 3 years
oh,
ago when he first got there, obviously. But I think that's an even bigger deal when you're talking about you don't have any other weapons and your primary weapon loses a half a step because now that separation, that ability, his hands, his route running, he's phenomenal. But losing that half a step is going to make a big deal, especially when he's essentially your only reliable target. Let's put it that way. So I think the pickup of Kincaid is going to be big in terms of taking some of the pressure off Stephon Diggs, in the passing game.
yeah. I mean, he's getting a little older. He's going to be what, 29 or 30 this season.
29, I believe.
So, he's at that age of
Yeah, slowing down.
starting to slow down a little bit. Maybe another year or two at this kind of peak production. Um, what up, Crispy?
So Diggs is currently 29, and he was still wide receiver 4 last year. So
GP Dub. So is he going to be 30 going into the season?
I'm not sure. Yeah, Diggs was still awesome, man. Wide receiver 4 in PPR, 150 targets, 1,400 yards, double
He'll be
digit
30.
touchdowns.
29.4. So he'll be 30. Yeah. Yeah. All right. So what's Diggs worth? And what would I trade? What would Diggs be worth? I guess. I mean, he's still probably worth
A late first,
I
early
want to say
second, 2-1.
maybe the 107, 108 ish. After
I don't
that,
know.
then maybe.
I don't know.
You think he's worth more than that?
No, I think a little bit less. I'll be
He's
honest
less
with
than
you.
that? Well, yeah. I
Yeah,
mean, I'm saying at most, at tops, he's worth like that 107 ish,
I'm pushing
108.
it down a little bit more. I'm talking back end one just because I think,
Should be back in
especially.
one.
Oh no, my phone just fell. Um, I think I'm looking at a back end one. I'm looking 109, 110 ish, especially in Superflex because I just think that not to say he's going to fall off a cliff, but I think turning 30 is a big deal, especially at that wide receiver position. And remember, he's a pretty physical wide receiver, so he takes his hits. He's not exactly a burner. Um,
Mm-hmm.
so yeah, I'm probably looking 109, 110, late first, somewhere in that range.
Yeah, it's definitely in that late first range.
Let me just grab my phone real quick. God damn it.
All right, let's talk about Miami coming up next. Tua, can he stay healthy? He's doing a bunch of what is he doing? Mai Tai or whatever the hell he's doing, trying to learn how to like land so he doesn't smash his head.
My God, it's funny.
I mean, but it's hard not to smash your head when guys just literally fucking toss your ass to the fucking ground. I mean, so yeah, I mean, if he can stay healthy, I mean, he's been dropping in drafts like far. He's going like back end third round, like middle third round now in Superflex drafts. So I'm still okay with taking the shot on Tua, but you can literally wait until the third round now to
Yeah,
get
I
to it.
mean, I'm not sold on Tua. Hold on, my bad. I'd rather have. Would you rather have Daniel Jones or Tua?
I'd rather take the chance on Tua.
Okay. Would you rather have Jared Goff or Tua?
I would rather have Tua. I think I'd rather have Tua just for the value because the golf is going in like fourth-ish. I mean, they're actually pretty close now that I think about it because Tua's just been falling like so
Right.
far down. So,
But then
I'd rather have golf at the cost.
But that means the value of Tua is going up because his production, we've seen it when he's healthy, he's going to give you pretty elite production. So then if he's dropping to the fourth or fifth round, that's elite production at that value.
Well, that's the thing, right? This is how dynasty people are. This is how the community is. Where right now we're like, oh, I don't know about Tua. Like, what about the injuries? And then once he gets in there and has a couple good games, where everybody's all back in on Tua.
Yep.
And then you lost out in the offseason because when you had your startup, you faded Tua, or it didn't take him. So
I'll be honest. When we get into a couple of our startups, I'm not. That's the thing. Would you rather have Kyler Murray or Tua?
Oh,
I know you're gonna say Kyler.
Kyler Murray. Yeah.
Would you rather have somebody that we're not crazy about, but we're like, maybe? I think Daniel Jones, like that Jared Goff, I feel like is that cutoff.
Yeah. And I think Jared Goff gets the contract. So I mean, I don't see why not. I know they drafted Hooker, but I'm not extremely excited for Hooker. They're like 3 years apart anyway. So I mean, the only thing they would be saving money. But why build up that offense, run it with Jared Goff, and then not re-sign him and start with a new quarterback?
And I've been saying this for a while. Jared Goff's not that old relative to his style of play.
28
at the position he plays. Like 28 is nothing. He could play another 6-7 years. He doesn't run. He's not going to give you much upside rushing, but you like what they did in the draft with Laporta. I know J-Mo's an idiot, but he's going to be back at some point, right? They picked up Gibbs. You really got to like what they've done offensively to kind of build around Jared Goff, and I think that was the smart way to go. Because also too, Jared Goff's a veteran. It's not like he's a young guy that needs to come in and learn things. He's locked in. You know what I mean? So I do like what the Lions have been doing, and I think the Lions are going to make the playoffs this year.
Yeah, I mean, shit. Throw for 4,500 yards, throw for 30 touchdowns, be a top 12, fantasy quarterback.
Right,
I mean, there's no way in hell they're letting this guy just walk. I know there was talks of contract extension. They haven't pulled the trigger on anything or been able to agree to anything, but we could see possibly during the season after the first few games where he's rolling a little bit, and then they get the contract.
They lock his ass up. Yeah.
What do you think about Denver picking up Batty as a satellite back with Javonte not healthy? He could be the RB2 behind Perine, and he's free. Just took him around 34 for deep league. Yeah, he's absolutely insanely cheap. I mean, I don't know if they're bringing somebody else. Like they're saying now, Javonte is going to be ready for the start of the season. I don't know how true that is, unless Sean Payton's literally saying he's going to be ready. Like I don't know if he's Adrian Peterson, fucking bionic alien. But he did more than just the ACL, right? It was more the J.K. Dobbins. I don't want to see him hobbling out there,
Mm-hmm.
or going back too early. Because Javante is a kind of, he's a 3 down guy. He can do everything. And I'm excited to see what Peyton will do with him and Perrine. But yeah, I mean, Batty's one of those guys you just pick up the stash and hope that. I mean, obviously you don't want to hope an injury happens, but in order for Batty to play, an injury is going to have to happen, and of course, then he can give you a couple games of production. So yeah, I love backup running back.
If the Broncos are smart, they're going to look at what the Giants did with Saquon Barkley and bring him along slowly. You have a capable guy in Samaje Perine that they picked up who, when Joe Mixon was out, was able to do numbers. Go look at Samaje Perine's numbers when Mixon was out. He was a beast. And I didn't really know he was a between the tackle guy like that. Like, I just thought he was this little third down scat back. Like, he was running between the tackles. So I think having Batty there is the perfect kind of safety valve where you don't have to rush Javante back, right? If they say he's ready, listen, if he's getting 8 or 10 touches a game for the first 6 weeks, I'm cool with that. Especially if you're a Javante owner, because you don't want him to get rushed back out there and then really fuck himself up and set him back another year, whatever the case may be, or potentially ruin his career, right? Because that potentially could happen. So I think like I said, having Perine, having Batty there, you don't need to rush Javante back. He's still super young, and you have enough complementary guys to work him in slowly.
Yeah, yeah. So I'll throw Batty on the bench there. All right. Tua. All right. We briefly just spoke about Tua. Basically, you got Mostert, we got Wilson, we got A-Chain. I think we spoke about this before.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's just a 3-headed backfield committee. Mostert and Wilson both less than 200 carries last year. They're guys that have been injured, but when they're managing the workload, they stayed healthy last year.
Yeah.
I think they both played almost every game. They might have missed. I think Mostert missed maybe 1 or 2 games, if I'm not mistaken.
Wilson was a little more in and out.
You bring in A-Chain, and I think A-Chain will have a role, but I don't know how big that role is going to be unless there's injury. Unless there's injury that happens. And I know you love some Miami running backs.
That's not true. I love Jeff Wilson because I had him, and then I was happy when he did go to Miami. That was like the perfect landing spot, and he played pretty well when he first got there, and then he got hurt. Obviously, Mostert kind of took off and had some good games, but obviously those guys are worth rostering. I can't play them with any confidence, but if I was desperate in a deep league, in a 14-team league, start 9, you're going to need those kind of Jeff Wilson, Raheem Mostert guys. Like, it's just is what it is. So, you're hoping they bang in a touchdown. That's what you're hoping. So that's the position I found myself in last year. I had a ton of injuries to my running back position. And then obviously I had Eli Mitchell. So that was another situation where he was hurt. They pick up McCaffrey, and my whole running back situation just went to ass. Luckily, I had Josh Jacobs, but yeah, that situation, it's a 3-headed monster, like you said. And also, too, what I noticed is in that Miami backfield, they're pretty much going to ride the hot hand. That's how it's going to go. So if Mostert has a couple of good games, they're going to ride him for a little while. All these guys are going to get some burn, but they're going to ride the hot hand. So just keep that in mind when you have those guys.
It's San Francisco in Miami now. I mean, I keep saying it's San Francisco. It's literally the same 2 San Fran guys, just now in Miami. I mean,
in the same offense.
In the same offense. So yeah, I mean, I like both of those guys as RB2s late. You got to hope to get like back end RB2 production. But in an offense like that, I mean, you're going to get good quality, opportunities. You might not get as many, but you're going to get quality ones. So, because of course you got Cheetah, you got Jalen Waddle. Cheetah, doing cheetah things. Couple years left. Said he's going to retire afterwards. Jalen
He's still going to
Waddle.
be.
Go ahead. He's still going to be.
Both of those guys are still going to be awesome. It doesn't matter.
Yeah, no, he'll still be crazy productive. And then you've got after Jalen Waddle, who's been wide receiver 1-2 years in a row now, or something like that, right? Was he?
I got you. Jalen Waddle has been
wide receiver 13 and wide receiver 8. Okay,
so he was knocking on the door his rookie year of wide receiver 1.
Gotta be quicker than that, Hammer.
And we knew. Whoa! Bring that on me. That's okay.
Because I pulled it up before you. But all right. So yeah, I mean, a guy that can give it. I always say the same thing. Can give it to you any way you want it. Give you the PPR. Give you the yak. So love me some Jalen Waddle. Consistently going in the back end of the second, like early third round of your Superflex draft. So Cheetah going after Waddle. I haven't seen Cheetah go before Waddle. He's going at least almost a round later.
No, because he's significantly older.
Not a half, but yeah, tight end position. Well, forget tight end. Let me go back to the wide receiver. You've got, I think, Cedric Wilson, Chosen Anderson, Braxton Berrios.
Garbage. Garbage.
Now, Chosen, maybe he just runs deep all day and takes the top off, and you got Cheetah and Waddle just running all these underneath and intermediate routes. But I mean, that offense is that offense. We know that what they can do. So it's just a matter of Tua obviously staying healthy, and they're obviously one of the best offenses in the league.
Yeah, I don't foresee
Daily Dynasty. What up?
Braxton Berrios is a pretty good possession guy, and he's shown me some things playing with the Jets for a while. So I do like Braxton Berrios as like that possession guy, but it's Cheetah, it's Waddle, and we know what time it is in Miami.
Yeah, Song, what up, Song? I was cooking dinner. What'd you make, bro? What'd you make? What you cooking over there?
I like it. I'm a foodie, so I like cooking. I like cooking shit. What are you making? That's a good question.
Tight ends, I mean, Smythe, my bad. Tyler Kroft, who they just picked up, Elijah Higgins. I don't know who's going to be productive there. They kind of, Gesicki was like, they used
disappointing.
A few different guys. It was disappointing. I don't know. There's a lot of offense to go around there, but I'm not particularly fond of anybody. I mean, Elijah Higgins, maybe. Tyler Kroft, I mean, Smythe. Who's going to get it? Who's going to be the guy? I don't know. So I'm just staying away from that tight end room. But overall, I mean, what do we think about Miami? What do we think about them in that division? What do you think's happening?
I think Miami has the biggest, what's the word I'm looking for? The biggest gap in terms of if everything goes right as opposed to if everything goes wrong. You know, does that make sense?
Yeah.
Like
highest ceiling, lowest floor, like?
Yeah, 100%. Because listen, let's boil it down. It all's contingent on Tua staying healthy, relatively healthy, right? And playing. Let's say if you get 15 games out of Tua, you'll take that 15 out of 17. You'll sign up for that, and you'll say the Dolphins will be at least in the mix to win that division, if not be one of the top wild card teams, right? Just because that offense is really good. Most of those guys have been in that system for quite some time now. I think McDaniels is a really good coach. He seems to really have a pulse of his team. But, you know, if Tua only ends up playing like 8 or 9 games, they could be in some trouble.
Yeah, I feel you. You got to stay healthy. All right, kimchi soup with pork belly over steamed rice. Pork belly over the steamed rice sounds awesome. What exactly is the kimchi? Is that like what is that? What is the kimchi? Because I've seen people make it. I see the videos all the time.
I've heard of it. I don't know exactly what it is either.
Miami defense is nice. Yeah.
They invested in the defense. They traded for that line, Bradley Chubb, right? They traded for Bradley Chubb last year at the trade deadline.
They got Bradley Chubb. Yep. Jerome Baker, Xavier Howard. Who else? Javon Holland, Jalen Ramsey,
Oh
right?
shit, they picked up
Jalen,
Ramsey. Yeah. I
Jalen,
think he's a little overrated at this point now.
yeah. Jalen Phillips, Christian Wilkins, 100 tackle fucking defensive lineman, defensive
But
tackle.
they're a legitimate team. They just Tua has to stay healthy. That's the bottom line.
That's what I was gonna say. Is it some kind of like cabbage type thing? Yeah, I don't mess with cabbage, but
It's actually not that bad.
Try it.
It's not that bad.
I'll try the kimchi. I'll try the kimchi, especially if she loved me long time.
I'm not even gonna get a response to that one. I'm gonna leave that one alone. I'm gonna leave that one way alone.
Oh shit. All right, so yeah, you think Miami is taking it? Like, all right, let's just say Tua's healthy. Tua's healthy. He plays all the games. He doesn't get hurt.
I think the fact that division is so competitive, it's tough to really separate one. I can make the case for 3 teams, right? Miami, Buffalo, and the Jets. New England, no. New England is not winning that division. So let's just call it what it is. So realistically, I can make a case for all 3 of those teams. We really thought Buffalo was going to dominate this division for a long time because they had the best quarterback, because we didn't know what Tua was. The Jets were stuck with Zach Wilson at that point. But based on the Jets getting Aaron Rodgers, based on how we feel about Tua after what we saw him do last year when he was on the field and kind of rolling a little bit, you feel a little bit differently about Buffalo's, ability to just dominate this division. Do I think Buffalo from top to bottom is still the best team in the division? Yes. Does that guarantee they'll win the division? I don't know. Miami always plays them tough, right? And then the Jets. So it's hard for me to give them. I think they'll be in the playoffs. I'll say that.
Yeah, they definitely will be. But yeah, if they're rolling on all cylinders, I mean, shit, that's gonna be a great, all those guys for fantasy, right? Waddle. I mean, Waddle's.
Yep.
We talked about where Waddle's going. We talked about where Cheetah's going.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, what are those guys worth? Like, they're worth what, 102s, like
Waddle's probably worth multiple first-round picks.
Worth multiple, unless it's early and it's a QB next year. But yeah, I mean, shit.
Cheetah Cheetah's probably maybe worth the 105, 106, I would say, just because he is a little bit older, and also too because he did announce that he's going to be leaving. Like, we have a definitive timeline on how long he's going to play, so I think that hurt his value a little bit.
Yeah, he might be a late first too, maybe a little bit more than a late first, just because of his production. I mean, 17 or whatever.
You could certainly make that case.
Yeah, you can say that.
But I just think his production will be so explode. Like, he's a needle mover. Like, he's one of those guys that could go out and win you a week by himself.
Yeah.
So from that standpoint, if I was buying Cheetah and somebody said, give me the 105 or the 106, I'd probably do it.
Yeah, especially if you're contending. I mean,
right.
All right, let's get into New England quick before we talk about the Jets and Aaron Rodgers, because that'll be a longer combo.
Mm-hmm.
New England, Mac Jones, Bailey Zappi. I mean, what if Mac Jones doesn't do well? Like, what if they're not winning and he's not doing well? Like,
Bill Belichick will pull the plug. We've seen him do it last year.
That's what worries me about Mac Jones, because he doesn't really have like a ton of weapons, like, either. I mean, he's got Juju, Devontae Parker. Like, I mean,
they did pick up Gesicki.
They picked up Gesicki. I mean, they got Booty, but I mean, they got to straighten his ass out first. Devontae Parker is older; he can't stay healthy ever. I mean,
I don't think you realize the play on words you just said.
What I said?
They got Booty. They got to straighten his ass out. That was just poetic. That was absolutely poetic.
Yo. I seen a trade today: Hill for Ridley and Waller. Okay.
No, I'm not doing it. I'm not.
Would you
I'm
rather have
not.
Ridley and Waller, the tight
No,
end premium?
no, no, no,
Would you rather have
no.
you'd rather have Cheetah? Still taking
Absolutely.
Cheetah?
Yeah, because how many games is Waller going to actually give me
I don't know.
at this stage of his career? You telling me he's going to get healthier? I don't think so. And I think Ridley's really good, but Hill is just he's a dude.
Well, I don't know if that's what you want to come off a hill for. Like, if you're coming off a hill, you're probably trying to get like younger and more
Right,
elite
right.
than Ridley and Waller. But I mean, it's not horrible, but I probably would still stay on the Cheetah side.
I would not do that. No.
Caleb, what up, Caleb? Keep grinding. Love the content. Respect the hustle. Polish Hammer's haircut's on point. Yeah, his shit's always on point, bro. I don't got much hairs to cut, so my shit is,
Caleb, I appreciate that. It's who I am, man. Appreciate you, man. Definitely appreciate that shout out.
Yeah, he's always been about his hair and his look over there. All right, Tyquan Thornton. I mean, decent guy to stash, but I don't think he's really going to be anything. He's more, I don't know if he's more like a gadget kind of guy type of at this point. I mean, I don't know. There's nobody else there, so he does have an opportunity to do something. Do they let Mac Jones sling the rock? Is like the real question. So
Damian Harris departs.
yeah, so you got Ramondre, right? Ramondre's the dog. We thought maybe they would bring somebody in. They haven't. So you've got James Robinson, who's like just not that good. You've got
His fall from grace has been so hard to see and imagine. Bro, 2 years ago he was the man in Jacksonville, like the absolute man, and it just all downhill. That's how quickly it happens to running backs.
yeah, and then he was undrafted on top of that, so it just goes to
Mm-hmm.
show you. But Pierre Strong, you stash him since they don't have anybody else there. I mean, they still have Ty Montgomery, or I think they still got Ty
I have
Montgomery.
no idea.
And Kevin Harris would be the other guy as well. So I have him stashed in a couple of leagues. Kevin Harris and Pierre Strong. Uh, because I don't know, is Stevenson going to carry that whole workload? Are they going to bring in, one of these guys for the third downish role, or maybe just for first and second? I mean, Ramondre was awesome doing everything. I mean, catching the ball as
Yeah,
well.
he was.
So, I don't know. Maybe he's just a 3-down guy now.
But
He's moved up.
is he going to wear down in a Bill Belichick offense?
I don't know. He's moved up my rankings. He's moved up my.
I mean, I agree with that just because he's going to get the volume. Like, that's just, there's no way around it. He's going to get the volume.
Since he survived the draft. I mean, he's there for 2 more years. I mean, the chances that he gets re-signed are probably very slim. Obviously, Bill Belichick never re-signs those guys. Is he the outlier that they decide to re-sign?
I doubt it. At that position?
I doubt it, because they want to spend that money elsewhere. So it's just.
Yeah, and they could go out in a second or third round and draft another running back.
Yeah, Robinson. I mean, Michael Carter last year. I mean, Damian Pierce early in the season, what people were willing to pay. That's when we were telling everybody to sell him. Just because of the value at that point is just ridiculous. So yeah, I could absolutely see people paying for that.
It's crazy. Absolutely.
Yeah,
crazy.
I mean, I think we can both agree that New England is not winning the division. Most likely not making the playoffs either.
Yeah, I tend to agree with that as well. Unless that defense holds people to like 10 points a game, there's
complete.
And I will say this. New England, I don't know how they did it, because I know 2 years ago they made the playoffs, but even last year, like, even them being so anemic on offense, they still found a way to be in the mix for the playoffs down the stretch. Obviously they just didn't have enough offense. The whole Bailey Zappi, Mac Jones thing kind of fell apart at the quarterback position, but I'm sure there'll be a thorn in somebody's side, but they have no chance of winning this division.
No, they don't. Which brings us to the New York Jets.
Oh, you mean the New York Packers or the Green Bay Jets? Which one? I can't tell.
Solid defense, now adding Aaron Rodgers to go along with the Dynasty RB2 in Breece Hall, at least for me. The wide receiver 5 and Garrett Wilson, at least for me. rolling into this offense with a MVP caliber quarterback. Obviously, getting a little bit older now, but doesn't
He can
really
still sling
matter
it. He can
the way
still
he
sling
can
it.
sling it. So yeah, I love it. I love it for this team. I drafted Rodgers actually in this draft. I have Rodgers. Right, yeah, I got him
Yes,
right
you
there.
did.
Got him right there. And then I followed that up with Trey Lance, just to have a young guy afterwards. But yeah, I'm messing with Aaron Rodgers. I mean, what, QB 13 last year on a pretty much down year, shitty offensive season. So yeah, I will take it. But yeah, what do you think about the Jets here?
I feel like the Jets probably have everything you're looking for, right? As you just outlined, really good defense that they added to in the draft. Um, Obviously, you pick up Aaron Rodgers, you add Alan Lazard to Garrett Wilson, which I like that as the complimentary receiver. Corey Davis is still on that roster. Go ahead, read that because I've read it too. That's got to be read.
Jets been signing molded cheese, said Chris.
Yeah, the Jets like signing old Green Bay Packer quarterbacks, that's for sure. But yeah, I do think that the Jets probably have the highest ceiling of anybody in this division just because that defense is already really good. And
I always
Garrett
said that
Wilson is
about
just,
Miami. Is it Miami or the Jets, do you think, highest ceiling?
I think it's the Jets because I think the Jets have the better defense. And the Jets now have the better quarterback. Aaron Rodgers is better than Tua in any way you slice it. So I think it's the Jets that have the highest ceiling. Um, Even if things don't go absolutely great, I think they have more margin for error. I guess that's a better way to put it. Um, just because they have a tremendous defense and they have a quarterback, like you said, a Hall of Fame MVP quarterback, and still really good skill position players. So I think the Jets probably, it's between the Jets and Buffalo to win the division to me. Miami could do it if everything clicks and Tua stays healthy, but that's still a big unknown. But yeah, I'm really interested to see how quickly Aaron Rodgers meshes with that team. Does he have the pulse of the team? How does he, what happens? What happens if they start out 2-3 and he's got 5 touchdowns and 3 interceptions or something like that?
Well, I think that most of the team, or the team at least, looks extremely excited to bring in a guy like that, where they just think that they need a quarterback because they have, the receivers, the running back,
Everything else, yeah.
the defense, like everything else is clicking there. So they're excited for that. And the fact that Aaron Rodgers does not turn the ball over really, to go along
Hmm.
with that great defense, they're going to win a lot more games just based on that alone, you know? So, yeah, um, I think they win a ton of games next year. And we're going to
How
see them
many?
in the playoffs,
How,
like
how
Aaron
many?
Rodgers does.
How many games do they win
Ah,
out of 17?
would 12 be would 12 be out of the range of outcomes there? No, I think they could win 12, 13 games. I mean, why not with that defense? I mean, with Garrett Wilson, with Brees Hall, if everybody stays healthy, then yeah, I don't see why they can't win like 13 games, 12, 13
Okay.
games. You know,
I just think that
it'll be
division,
tough
the
with that
division,
division. It'll be tough with
yeah.
that. It'll be tough with that division.
Hmm.
But I think that's still it's in the realm of possibilities. But yeah, it'll be tough within that division.
I'm thinking more along the lines of between 10 and 11 because I do think there is an adjustment period.
I could see that. I could see that.
And the division, bro. The division's tough.
This is true. All right, Aaron Rodgers. He's got maybe 3 years left, possibly. I mean, there's a lot of money they got to pay him next year, which obviously that's not going to happen, and they're going to restructure it. And probably the easiest way would be to add another year,
Hmm.
right? So maybe he plays 3 years for the New York Jets.
If you had to bet the ranch on it, how many years would you say he would play?
I would say three, based on the money that they got to give him next year. If
Okay.
they make the playoffs and make it deep enough in the playoffs this year,
AFC Championship, if
they
they
make
make it.
AFC Championship. Yeah, I mean, I don't see why he wouldn't want to play another, a third year, especially with Garrett Wilson, who he'll be growing with Brees Hall, who'll be doing his thing. So yeah,
Mhm.
I think he's got. I think because I think he'll be in a situation, especially with the defense, where they're still going to be in contention with him. So why just give it up yet if you're still playing at a high level and you're contending for championships and Super Bowls? So
With a
yeah,
fairly young core around him.
yeah, yeah. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, it'll definitely be really interesting to see how they mesh early, right? I want to take a look at the Jets schedule real quick. Maybe we could just break that down a little bit and see. Let's see.
I mean, Izzy, Abaconda, Michael Carter. I mean, I don't know what's going to happen with that. Like, does Izzy beat him out for that second slot, like behind Brees? Corey Davis is still there, right? Alan Lazard, Mecole Hardman. I mean, Alan Lazard's going to have a decent season. I mean,
I agree.
he's going a little bit under the radar, or a lot of bit under the radar, really. You got Conklin and Uzoma still there, Jeremy Ruckert, Kuntz. So you got a bunch of tight ends there.
Their schedule is rough early. Listen to these first couple of games. They open up against
Oh yeah,
Buffalo Monday night against Buffalo at home. Then they get Dallas, New England. Okay, they could beat New England. Kansas City,
all right. So what are
Denver,
they? 1-3. All right, 2-3. Philly,
Philly,
5-6. So you want maybe they go three. Maybe, what do you expect? Maybe a 3-3 out of that. I mean, 500 out of those six.
Bills, Cowboys, Jets, Chiefs. 1, 2, 3.
New England, Denver, and one of those other tough games. Maybe
Dallas, they could beat Dallas.
that's yeah. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah,
That's
I could see
worst case 3-3. I want to say
3-3, 4-2 potentially.
Worst case 3-3.
Yeah, I would say 3-3. Worst case 4-2, kind of you would hope for. But yeah, what if
Vegas, Atlanta, Houston, Washington, Cleveland, New England? I don't see them losing any of those. Miami, the two games against Miami and the Buffalo really
Mm-hmm.
after that. So yeah,
Wait a minute. They play the. Oh no, they don't. They play the Hall of Fame game. I was like, what? They play the Browns twice, but that's the Hall of Fame game.
yeah.
Yeah. So those first 6 games, you know what I mean? Chargers. That's not a gimme.
Yeah.
I mean, although the Chargers are traveling from west to east, that never bodes well for a West Coast team.
Not a gimme. Then you got Buffalo and Miami like 2 weeks after. But I mean, the Vegas, Atlanta, Houston, Washington,
Yeah.
Cleveland, New England, New York. I mean, those are all could be winnable games. So yeah.
Yeah, I could see 11. 11.
All right. So everybody stays healthy.
Mm-hmm.
Who is your pick for the division?
All things being equal, I will go Buffalo 1, Jets 2, Miami 3.
Got you. I'm gonna go Jets 1. I'm gonna go Miami 2, and I'm gonna go Buffalo 3. I think I'm gonna go. I'm gonna go. Go ahead.
But tell me you can't see all 3 of those teams winning at least 10 games.
Oh yeah, no, absolutely. But I'm gonna go
Yeah.
Jets 1 mainly because Aaron Rodgers is there, and like I mentioned before, the defense, the offense, and him, the fact that he doesn't turn the ball over that much, like he wins a lot of games. So yeah,
Mm-hmm.
I'll take the Jets to win. To win the division, and I'll take Miami after that because I think Buffalo didn't do it. I don't think they got that much better offensively enough
Okay.
to.
That makes sense.
And if Tua is healthy and we're saying that, that everybody's going to be healthy here, I think that Miami could possibly take that 2 spot, and then that leaves Buffalo, in the 3, and of course course, New England at 4. But what do y'all think out there? Who is y'all pick? Who do you think's taking the division? The AFC East. This looks familiar to Brett Favre. Rodgers' next stop is the Vikings.
I think this is a little different because Brett Favre always wanted to go to the Vikings, but he had to go to the Jets first because the Packers still owned his rights, like similar to the Brett Favre, the Aaron Rodgers thing. But I don't think Aaron has any compunction to play for the Vikings. Brett Favre wanted to go there straight from Green Bay, but he just couldn't. Aaron wanted to go straight to the Jets.
Yeah, I mean, speaking of the Vikings, I don't know if we talked about it the other day. There were talks of the Kyler Murray thing, where if Arizona does not do well this year, which they probably won't, and they're going to have 2 top picks in the draft, they may go QB and then trade Kyler Murray. And the Minnesota Vikings were one of those teams that were looking at possibly doing that, or the Atlanta Falcons actually almost had a deal in place, but they could not get the compensation agreed upon before the draft.
I would have loved that for Atlanta.
Oh, if Kyler Murray went to Atlanta, to go with Drizzy Drake and Pitts and Bijan, I mean, damn, that would have been, that'd be sick. That'd be sick. I'll take that.
Yeah, that definitely works.
I'll take that. But I think that's pretty much it. You got anything else, Hammer? Did we miss anything about any of these squads or players? Really?
No, I think this is going to be one of the more intriguing divisions it's shaping up to be. Remember last year, everybody thought the AFC West was going to be this just fucking crazy division. I think this truly sets up to be one of the better divisional battles. So I'm kind of looking forward to it. Obviously, Aaron was my guy. He's not anymore. And I'm interested to see what he's going to do with the Jets, but fuck them both.
It would be hilarious if Rodgers ended up in Chicago. Yeah, that's not gonna happen.
Nah, Chicago's a mess right now relative to where he's at.
That's not gonna happen. He went to the spot he wanted to, that he knows the defense is up to par. He's got some young offensive weapons that he can work with. He's not dumb. He knows that he was going to leave Green Bay. He's going to go somewhere that has a legitimate shot where he can.
He basically handpicked the Jets like Tom Brady handpicked the Bucs.
Yeah, exactly.
Only difference was Tom Brady was a free agent.
Yeah. All right, well, I guess we're about to get up out of here. I got 2 videos coming out. One is like 4th round rookie picks, a couple guys that I like. Another is undrafted guys that got signed to throw on the taxi squad. So those will come out Monday and Tuesday. Other than that, we've got our Wednesday night Dynasty mock draft we always do. Thursday night, we're on 420 Fantasy Hustler Network. Got our show there, but appreciate all y'all for coming out. Marty, Pops, Jamie, Caleb, BB Dubs.
Hell yeah, appreciate all you guys.
Song, Derek, Kevin, everybody that tuned in. If I missed you, my bad. If you're new to the channel, guys, just hit that like, hit that subscribe. If you do dig us, if not, fuck off. I don't know. But you should, because we are talking Dynasty every single week. We're talking Dynasty multiple times a week. We are out here for y'all. I don't see why you wouldn't want to listen or like.
So really quick, one quick thing to add. So I received a DM the other day from a page called League Commissioner. Are you familiar with them?
No.
Anyway, he asked me to join his, I guess he does leagues and stuff like that. So he asked me to join. So I said, all right, cool. Like, how does everything work? Blah, blah, blah. And I was like, yeah, me and my cousin, we have our page, our channel, blah, blah, blah. His response, I sent him the link to the page and everything, and he goes, "Oh snap, man, I love your page. Helps me with my Dynasty League. Been following you for a year now."
Oh, is it?
Yeah. So that was really cool to see, somebody that just, randomly hit me up. Maybe he saw the page. I don't know how he got my personal Instagram, but nonetheless, still really cool to see all the support. You guys have been awesome out there, rocking with us and kind of interacting with us. So it's been tremendous. I appreciate all you guys out there. And yeah, more to come.
Yeah, make sure you follow us on Instagram, right? Dynasty Life Fantasy should be in the description there. So just hit the link. Make sure you're following us there because I always try and put out visual stuff like representing kind of what we talked about on any of the shows and stuff like that. Because some people just aren't able to get on YouTube or don't do it, and they rather just have the visual shit on Instagram. But anyway, appreciate y'all. But
Also, too, if you are interested in the subscriber league, send us a message. Let us know. We're definitely looking to fill those 2 leagues up. I'm pretty sure we want to draft relatively soon. So hit us up. Let us know. We want to get those rolling.
yeah, as soon as it's full, we'll be doing those. But yeah, hit me up in the DMs and I'll send y'all the link this way you can hop in. But
Sir.
appreciate it. We out.